there's a part 3. Gender blur, where your gender changes constantly by fading away into something else. Gender cosm, a gender identity encompassing and surpassing the limits of Earth and society. Gender dormant, a gender which is inaccessible for stretches of time. Genderox, a feeling of being detached from the concept of gender but simultaneously identifying with or encompassing many non-binary experiences or identities. Gender flora, a gender that blooms and evolves based on the weather. Gender flight, a fluid gender that feels fleeting then vanishes before one can define exactly what it is. Gender fluid, having a gender identity that changes. Gender flux, having a gender which changes with intensity. Gender fuzz, having multiple genders that are blurred together. Gender maverick, a distinctly unorthodox gender experience characterized by self-determined and autonomous sense of anomalous. I don't even fucking know what to fucking say. Give up. Gender negative, a state in which one feels their gender is not present. Gender neutral, having a gender directly in the middle of man and woman. Gender plasma, similar to gender fluid, but it feels hotter. Gender positive, a term related to gender flux, which refers to a state when one feels their gender is present. Gender punk, a gender identity that actively resists gender norms. It is a euphemistic form of gender fuck. Gender queer, a gender lying outside the gender binary. Gender sea, like gender void but related to the ocean. Gender strange, when you can't pinpoint one word for your gender. Gender vague, a gender not definable with words. Gender void, a gender which is filled with void. Wow, so creative, so necessary. Gender witched, a gender in which one is intrigued or entranced by the idea of a particular gender. Gender, a soft gender associated with pastel colors and flowers. Girl flux, when one feels mostly or all female most of the time, but experiences fluctuating intensities of female identity. Glass gender, a gender that is very sensitive and fragile. Glimmer gender, a faintly shining, wavering gender. Glitch gender, similar to gender fluidity, however, with gender what is normal. Oh my god. Ghost gender, a gentle and fragile gender, a gender that is barely there. Green gender, a subset of color gender for the color green. Gray gender, has a gender at least particularly outside the binary but is weak. Gyra boy, having multiple genders which you do not understand but knowing they all have masculine qualities. Gyra gender, having multiple genders but understanding none of them. Gyra girl, having multiple genders which you don't understand but knowing they have feminine qualities. Heal gender, a gender that brings peace of mind to the identifier. Heliogender, a gender that is warm and burning. Hemigender, feeling half one gender and half something else. Horogender, a gender which changes over time. Hydrogender, a gender which shares qualities with water. Hypogender, a feeling that one's experience of one of their genders is small and diluted by another gender. Illusogender, knowing that you're a certain gender but feeling fakeness there. Impediogender, a gender which is most often subdued or silenced but becomes more intense whenever it is challenged. Impergender, a fluid gender that can be controlled by its owner. Intergender, a gender in which one feels between two genders. Invisigender, a gender which feels invisible. Iragender, a gender which is angry or raging. Jupiter gender, a gender that is so large and present. Juxera, feminine gender similar to girl but on a separate plane and off to itself. Kingender, kingender, a gender related to other kin. Kinengender, a gender that is not able to be pinpointed due to the stress of the questioning process. Lamengender, a gender which feels composed of layers or slices. Leogender, a gender that's strong and regal. Leucogender, a gender that shines brightly like that other one that shines brightly. Levigender, a lightweight superficial gender that you don't feel very much. Liberique, a gender that brings with itself the conviction or the ability to express it. Libra gender, feeling a gender but with a particular connection to masculinity or femininity. Libra fluid, Libra gender and fluid between feminine and masculine. Licht gender, a gender represented by a ball of light. Lipsigender, a gender which when thought about triggers bouts of depression. Love gender, a gender defined by love for other gendered people who are treated badly and a love for your own gender as well. Ludogender, a gender which has a core but the individual mirrors the genders of other individuals. Lysogender, a gender that seems to dissolve and disappear as soon as you attempt to grasp it and figure it out. Magigender, feeling mostly one gender with the rest being something else. Maringender, oh no, it says see something else. Fuck. Mask fluid, having fluctuating or fluid gender feelings that are limited to masculine genders. Mascigender, a non-binary gender which is masculine in nature. Maverick, a non-binary gender categorized by autonomy and inner conviction. Medigender, a magical whimsical gender. Melogender, a musical harmonious gender. Mirror gender, a gender that changes to fit the people around you. Molygender, a gender which is soft, subdued. I'm fucking up words. Fuck it. I can't. This is giving me retardism. Mosaigender, a gender composed of pieces or fractions of many genders and feelings. Music gender, a catcall term for any gender that's related to music. Mutter-gender, a gender identity similar to gender flux since it's uncontrollable but is constantly evolving. Mutogender, a gender which is fluid and changes depending on one's situation. Mystigender, a mysterious gender. Nanogender, feeling a small part of one gender with the rest being something else. Narcissgender, an egotistical gender viewing itself in a high position, needing praise, to be used only by those with MPD. Necrogender, a gender that used to exist but is now dead. Nesciogender, a gender one is not completely sure of due to one's neurotype. Neurogender, a term to describe when one's gender is linked to someone else's neurodivergency. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, man. Neutrosis, a neutral gender. Fluid, having fluctuated or fluid gender feelings that are limited to genders, either natural, but neither either neutral and or neither masculine or feminine. Nocturnal gender. The nocturnal gender, a gender that feels more intense during the night. Non-binary, a gender that is not one of the two binary genders.